Raymond, so last night during the All-Star break, Steph Curry put on a clinic and took home his second three-point competition title ever. Now, this got me thinking, Raymond, if there was an All-Star podcast break, what events would you be participating in at this? What challenges would you be participating in? Because obviously we would be on the starting roster for the All-Star podcast team. So what challenges would you be participating in and winning?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the better question is, which competition will I not be participating in just because of schedule conflicts? I mean, a lot of these competitions overlap in time because of all the participants and how much time they take. So unfortunately, I will not be participating in all of them, although if I could, I would. However, that said, I think one of my favorites that I will most likely be participating in is Name That Rival podcast competition. Again, another timed podcast. You got to name off as many rival podcasts in 60 seconds or less. I would also be participating in the race. It's the export the audio file race. It's done by co-hosts only, unless the primary host also exports the audio file. So in this case, I fit right into that category. I qualify. And for the third competition, I definitely would have to do the hashtag competition, which is they give you a video title, and then you have to name all the hashtags associated with that particular video title. And again, that one's timed. It's 60 seconds or less. You got to put all those hashtags out there. So it's typing because we live in a digital space, so we have to type it all out. You have to get all the right hashtags. You can't just throw any hashtags. So, I mean, which ones would you do?
I would do a primary editors only competition. One I qualify for would be exporting and uploading your video to YouTube faster than anyone else on a 56K modem. That one's always real tough. It takes a long time.
I hate that one.
Yeah, it's usually a 72-hour challenge to do 200 megabytes. It's no joke. That'd be the first one. The next one I would do would have to be the assemble and then disassemble your Shure microphone. That's a real tough one too. You don't have any tools. You got to do all with your fingers. It's quite common to receive cuts, and then you have to wrap them up and then continue reassembling and disassembling your microphone. And the last one I would participate in is the green screen melee. A very controversial, often been cited as being a little bit far too violent, but I don't want to get into the specifics here. This is still a family show, but I would definitely participate in the green screen melee.
Man, you always have the more challenging tasks. I wish I could. Those happen to be coincidentally scheduled at the same time that I want to do my three that I named off. So it's just one of these days I'll swap the two.
One day we'll swap.
This is the GoldCast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy3, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom! All right, Raymond. Big news in 49er land or Patriots land, depending on who you're asking. Apparently, the Patriots right now, their plan A, as it's been quoted on Bleacher Report, is that the Patriots are looking to make some kind of aggressive push to get Jimmy Garoppolo back in the building. Obviously, we know they traded him away to San Francisco for a second-round pick back in 2017, I believe. It was a rather controversial move that apparently, according to a lot of New England news sources, was basically done to appease Brady because Belichick was already planning on the move to, Jimmy G was the heir to the throne, so to speak. And due to pressure from Tom Brady, they traded Jimmy G away, and the rest is history.
And perhaps Robert Kraft, who obviously is buddy with Brady,
yes,
saying, hey, he still wants to play. Let's keep the train going. But, you can send Jimmy somewhere else where maybe he'll get a chance to start.
And you know what? In the one lone full season he has played for the 49ers, he took us to a Super Bowl. And that just shows you the level that Jimmy G is capable of playing at. Now, Raymond, you have been talking for this entire offseason that the only way the 49ers could get Deshaun Watson would be a 3-team trade, and your proposal has always been the New England Patriots. They both have no trade clauses. You send Jimmy back to New England. New England sends a pick over to Houston. We get Deshaun Watson. We trade a couple picks, maybe one defensive player, and the rest is history. So, Raymond, I ask you, is this part one of your 3-team master plan? Has this gone into motion right now? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't know if it's gone into motion, but it's certainly something that the Patriots are flirting with, according to these reports. If there's any grain of truth to these reports, then this is absolutely the first phase that has to happen. The Patriots have to want Jimmy, and if these reports are true, let's say hypothetically speaking, for the sake of argument, they are, then this is definitely, hook, line, and sinker what has to happen in order for us to make a Deshaun Watson trade possible. The Pats have to want Jimmy, and they have to be willing to assist us in the cost for a Deshaun Watson. So it's a pick to them, maybe a pick to us, because we traded a high second-round pick for Jimmy. And, if it'd be kind of crazy if they send a first to Houston in order to get this trade going, because then technically you could say, they got a high second-round pick, but then they had to pay an even higher pick just to get him back, which would be nuts if that truly happened. But I think that this is what has to happen if the 49ers want to keep a player. But the more and more I think about it, the more I think they're going to have to give up one of the stars on defense in order to make this happen. I just don't know if Fred Warner or Nick Bosa are in that package. I just don't know if that's the right move. It's hard to see that. The Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade didn't involve any extra players. I don't think this one should. So to me, I think you can get it done. You just need an extra trade partner to help, offset or offload some of those picks so that the Niners have something, left to work with, because we know John Lynch likes picks. He likes to stack up picks for the draft, just like Trent Baalke used to do as well. And I think that he doesn't necessarily want to give up all of the draft capital, because their idea, their plan, their strategy is sustained competitive success, which is what they did, in order to last for 20 years, the same way the Pats did to last for 20 years. And they had good systems in place, and they had decent drafts, but they also made good trades and got some good players. But again, the Niners want to lean on the draft and supplement the remaining holes with free agency. And they're not going to do it the Rams way, which is to give up first-round picks every year and get top-tier players via top picks, guaranteed top players, and then hope that's enough to get you into the tournament. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But this is absolutely the first phase that needs to happen, and it's kind of crazy that it's now rumbling in the rumor mill. Whether it comes to fruition or not, we'll have to see.
There's two parts to this thing that I find very interesting. The part where you said it'd be funny if the Patriots would have to give up a first-round pick to get Jimmy G back when they only, took a second-round pick to trade him away. There's two ways you can look at it, right? You can say, well, the reason they'd have to do that is because Jimmy's actually proven he's capable of taking a team to the Super Bowl. Like, he's now proven that, right? The other argument,
his value has improved since then, so absolutely.
Yeah, and then the other argument is that, well, also, but I mean, Jimmy also has been injury prone and has only played one out of his 3 contracted seasons with the 49ers, has only been able to finish one season. And so from the Patriots side, there might be an argument that all he's worth is a third-round pick, a third and a fourth maybe. So it bears to see how that plays out and whether or not this ties into Deshaun Watson, as I like to sometimes say, offline, as the Watson turns. This is the new soap opera that exists here in San Francisco land, as the Watson turns. So I'm not sure. The second part, of course, is we had a long talk with our father, the unofficial fourth member of the GoldCast, Rudy Jr., and he has reiterated time and time again in the last several weeks. He says, offense will get you to the playoffs. Defense wins championships. And he talked about the front four of the Bucs He talked about the 49ers front four once Nick Bosa came and just how much it's revolutionized it, and getting rid of Nick Bosa, he feels, would be very detrimental, and we would basically become something like the Seahawks or the Packers, a team that would essentially be very offensive heavy, and but one and done, or maybe we get to the divisional round, maybe once in a while we get to the NFC Championship, but really outside of that, not a whole lot because of lacking in defense. Whether or not he's right, I don't know. I just know that every dynasty of the last 40 years has always been paired between a quarterback and a coach. Those are the number one things you need. And everyone right now is looking for their Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. And I am still perfectly on board with the Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy G. As if Jimmy G can string together multiple seasons, I have no doubt he's going to be really, really good at football. But that's the thing. He has to string together multiple seasons. And I feel like we basically have the same conversation every 3 weeks on here. This is nothing that the GoldCast hasn't heard before. So, Raymond, when the season ended, the 49ers reportedly were around $11 million in cap space. And now, after making some moves, dropping some players, the 49ers are basically sitting with the 9th most cap space in the league. They're sitting at $28 million, and their cap could jump up to about $37 million if they cut D Ford. So at first I was pretty nervous. $11 million is not a lot to play with. Now we're looking at the 9th most and possibly getting even more, $37 million in the cap. So Raymond, my question is, how optimistic are you now that we'll be able to sign Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk, K'Waun Williams? How optimistic are you that we can do this?
Well, we're in a position where we can retain more players. I know Sport Track has us as having 28 million, but if you actually go on the website, they haven't accounted for the Weston Richburg cap hit right now. Right now, he accounts to, there's 8 million in dead cap. He also accounts for 11.8 million against the cap. But if they hold out until after June 1st, then the dead cap goes from 8, it drops all the way to 3, just over 3. So the Niners might be, I don't know if that's what they plan on doing. The impression that we've been getting is that, he was already going to be released. I thought he was released, but he's technically still on the roster. So we'll have to see how that works, because he just got hip surgery and they don't know if he's going to play again. So, I think if we don't hear about Weston Richburg, leaving, but then I think it's obviously likely that he's going to leave. But I think if they wait till June, then they'll be able to save even a little bit more there. So we'll see how that one turns out. But overall, I didn't expect them to have this much at this point in the season. We knew they were going to lose players, but whether they were going to lose enough in order to re-sign others is of course what remains to be seen. I think Trent Williams is obviously priority number 1. I think priority number 2 is Kyle Juszczyk. He's an integral part of Kyle Shanahan's offense, so you can't ignore that at all. He's also been probably the top most consistent performer of the offense in terms of health. He's been a Pro Bowler every year we've got him, and I don't think he's missed a game. So I think he's number 2. And then number 3 is, who do you sign on defense? We know that Fred Warner's probably due a big contract. And then do you sign K'Waun Williams, or do you sign one of the other secondary players? We know that some of them are going to be cheap. K'Waun Williams probably not on the cheap side, but not, of course, a Pro Bowl level type of contract. But he's going to command more money regardless. So we'll just have to see how it works out. It's just nice to see that there is some money to work with.
Once again, Parag Marath pulls his magic. This guy, he is the Carmen Policy of this era, and it doesn't matter where the Niners are. We find the money. We figure it out. But having said that, you also look at a team like New Orleans, and they're like $60 to $80 million over the cap every year. So how important is this cap? That's what I don't understand enough about the cap to make an educated answer to my own question right there. I really don't know. But it is interesting that once again Parag finds a way, And it never surprises me. We do this year in and year out. Year in and year out, we do this. So I'm kudos to Niners, and let's hope that we can get these deals done, especially with Trent Williams. You got to get that first. You got to shore up that side of the line. That is number one priority above everything else right now. Sign Trent Williams. All right, Raymond. Now this is a good one. This is some old school stuff, baby boy. We are now. There's been a leak, Ray. There's been a leak, and I want to show the jersey. So there it is. There's the original when Young wore it in 94. This is Bosa's jersey. The leak that they're saying is the alternate uniform is going to be our red jersey with the drop shadow on the number. Last time we wore it was in 1994 with Steve Young when we roasted the San Diego Chargers. And if you haven't seen that game, you should. It is so good.
They set records in that game that still haven't been broken, so it's worth a watch.
It's worth a watch. It was the last Super Bowl one that we won in 1994 against San Diego Chargers. 1995 for the 94 season, but it's a badass game. If you want to see peak Steve Young, because you'd be surprised, Raymond. There are a lot of Niners fans that are younger than us that have never seen any of those games, never seen any of the Joe Montana Super Bowls, never seen Steve Young Super Bowls. I'm very shocked, that they just haven't seen any of them. I've gone on YouTube. We sit with our family and watch these a couple games every year. This is a family tradition. So if you haven't seen Steve Young's big win, you must check it out. But anyways, they're saying that jersey, last seen at the last Super Bowl we won, they're bringing it back. And Raymond, I wanted to ask you, is this the greatest version of the 49ers jersey? Is this the best Niners jersey ever? Is it? Because some people think it is, but I want to know what your personal opinion.
It was one of my favorites as a kid. I think it just had the shadow and the background is really what kind of set it apart from the rest of the league. And it stood out more than any other jersey. Every other Niners jersey has just been a variation of previous years. That's it. There's either the stripes look different or slightly thinner or thicker, or the number, the font of the number is slightly thinner. There hasn't been a whole lot of big changes. This is probably the most iconic jersey. One of the reasons being that it was the last Super Bowl we won, but also it just kind of had the most pizzazz out of any of the jerseys they've come up with. Everything else has just been kind of standard NFL jersey. And this one, has a bit more flair to it. And I think that's why it sticks out. I like it.
I like the jersey a lot. I'm not sure if it's my favorite jersey of all time. I don't know if I have a favorite, but this one is really dope. And like you said, is synonymous. Every time I see this jersey, I think of that 1994-95 team. I think of that Steve Young run. I think of Deion Sanders. I think of Merton Hanks. I just think of Jerry Rice. I just think of all the guys that were on that squad and just how monstrous it was. Ken Norton Jr. I think of all those guys. And so this is an iconic jersey. I might say that right now, currently, my favorite uniform is the all white unis that we wear. I think those are clean with the red.
I like those ones a lot. The white on the red. That's easy. I think it kind of has a little bit of an edge over the red one, just because the white is so. We've had the white ones for a long time. Even in the 80s, we had a white version of that too. But the all white uniform, man, that is awesome.
It is awesome. But to have this one come back, the gold pants with the red, it's the classic look. This is the classic 49ers look. It never gets old. It never gets tired. It's my favorite uniform in all of football. I think it is the dopest uniform in all of football because I'm extremely biased and I don't care. So to have them bring the drop shadow back for the 49ers for the red jersey, I'm all for it. GoldCast, we endorse this jersey. This is where officially putting our endorsement behind bring back the red one, because guess what? When they brought the white ones back from that Super Bowl year, we went to the Super Bowl. Let's bring the red ones back, and let's go back again. Let's go rematch. Niners, Kansas City. Let's see what's up. That's very early, but let's do it. All right, Ray. Next up, this was pure all-star goodness. This was Steph Curry was out of control. He was out of control last night. There are so many highlights from that game. First of all, the three-point contest was ridiculous. Okay. Then you have the LeBron James alley-oop from he was basically in the corner, bottom of the key, throws it to Steph. Steph's sitting on the edge of the logo, drops that bomb, hits that three. Then later on in the game, he's at the bottom. He's at the bottom corner three, throws it up, turns, does the no-look drop like LeBron did earlier in the season, which they cut to a shot of Dame, and Dame was like amused, but it looked like he was kind of annoyed, which was funny because he was on his team, which speaks to their whole rivalry that night and just in general. And then, of course, the iconic dunk that went viral, the one that's behind me right now, and then Steph, winning his second three-point competition. Let me ask you, I know Giannis won the MVP. He went 16 for 16, and that was impressive. Dame had virtually the same stats as Steph, but do you feel Steph owned the night?
Yeah, I thought even though the trophy went to Giannis, it's like I didn't hear a peep on Giannis from Bleacher Report, ESPN, anybody. My whole even outside of the filters that I have on my phone that cater to Bay Area teams, even outside of that scope, all the echoes from the All-Star night were surrounded by Curry, surrounded Curry. They all revolved around Curry doing something. Curry killed the first round with 31 points, then killed the second round to take the title by making the final shot, and then destroyed the All-Star game with threes, half-court threes, and dunks. Crazy.
It was so crazy. I've said before, Curry is having an MVP-like season. I said this all the way back at around after the first month. Remember that? I was like, man, he looks like he's on the road to an MVP-like season, and his numbers are very similar to his MVP, back-to-back MVP runs. This is what LeBron James said. First of all, first time LeBron and Steph have ever been on the same team. Their rivalry is well publicized and has been well documented. We know that LeBron doesn't always have the most love for Steph, but I was shocked at what LeBron tweeted. He put, finally got to share the floor with Steph Curry 30. Well overdue, and I loved every second. Hashtag greatest shooter of all time. Hashtag changed how the game is played by himself. Hashtag respect beyond words. Hashtag just some kids from Akron. And for LeBron to say that about Steph Curry, a guy who he has gone toe-to-toe with, and they have exchanged some pretty heated words at various finals in the past, for even LeBron to give him that much accolades, greatest shooter of all time, changed the game all by himself. I mean, that just goes to show you the level of respect Curry commands. And when you have, the greatest basketball player of this era, giving that kind of respect to a guy like Steph Curry, it's that reverberates through the league, and that reverberates through fans, and that sometimes will change the narrative on how people feel about Steph. And I think a lot of guys have respect for Steph. Steph is one of the most selfless players in the league, but it was a pretty dope, very, very dope, man. The highlight reel from last night with Steph was incredible, well-deserved break, and I can't wait to see what these guys do in the second half here.
Yeah, and sidebar, what the hell was Chris Paul doing at this All-Star game? What an odd choice to put him in there. I mean, he's got like 10 All-Stars. Like, he's shooting less. I mean, his points per game is less than his rookie year. Get him out of there. Just what a waste that was. Anyways.
Well, really where his value comes in is, kind of like Draymond, ball distribution, leadership on the floor, having that veteran leadership. He does command that presence. He definitely isn't the shooter that he once was, but he's still playing at a pretty high clip. He's not the Chris Paul of old. Is he necessary?
I don't think it's All-Star worthy.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
It's like when they gave Kobe an All-Star just for the sake of him being Kobe. I was like, come on, stick to the rules. I don't like those weird nods they give to veterans. It's like, save that for somebody who actually deserved it. It's not going to diminish anything that Kobe did or anything Chris Paul did. Give it to a player who actually has the stats that typically is associated with an All-Star player. Don't just give it to someone out of respect. That's
you
kinda
give
lame.
it to
I don't
someone.
like how they did that.
You give it to someone like Clay this year.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You give him an all-star nod, and then you also give them will be comeback player of the year next year trophy.
you give them it'll say will be player of the year, comeback player of the year next year trophy this year.
Yes, trust us.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we will be back. Candlestick Will is going to join us. We are going to be talking, of course, when Candlestick Will is here, it is all hoops, all baseball. We are going to be talking about the Warriors midway season point, where they're at, what we like, what we see. Is there a trade along the way? Could it be a player that Rudy has been lobbying to be on this team for almost 2 straight years now? Because that rumor is coming up, and I've been talking about this for 2 years. I don't want to say who it is. We'll talk about it on Thursday. And, of course, we're going to be doing a San Francisco Giants preview. Spring training is in full effect, fam. I cannot wait for the Giants to be back. I cannot wait. So we'll be talking about all of that this coming Thursday. And what say you, GoldCast Empire? Did Steph Curry own the night? Was he the people's MVP of the All-Star games and challenges? And then next, how excited are you for the throwback Niner jerseys, the red with the drop shadow, baby? Let us know. Go to youtube.com/thegoldcast. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And so concludes another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy3, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom! We'll see you next time. Same GoldCast time, same GoldCast channel.